Welcome to the VectorVest Making Money in the Markets. My name's Russell Markham. I'm the Director of Education for VectorVest Australia. It's great to have you along today. Let me just put it back onto the main slide here, and I just want to double check. Let's just double check that we're all okay on YouTube. I just want to make certain we're all going live. It looks to me, yep, we're all going live, so superb. All right, with that said, let's get going here. So first thing first, what I want to share with you here, just our license numbers. In addition, general advice only. I cannot take into account your personal financial circumstances. Please speak to your financial advisor for any personal advice. And as always, past performance is no guarantee of future results. All right, with that disclaimer statement out the way, let's jump into VectorVest. I've got something very interesting to share with you today. All right, so I'm going to concentrate on this indicator in VectorVest today called CI, Comfort Index. We've spoken about it before, but it's worth mentioning again because it's so incredibly powerful. The Comfort Index will help identify stocks with a smooth upward trend. And if you buy into those companies with a high CI score that consistently rises, you've got a very good chance of making money on that stock. Now, in VectorVest, the CI score, the Comfort Index score, is on a scale of 0 to 2. Let me show you the definition. All right, so it's on a scale of 0 to 2. The higher above 1, the better. All right, so it'll never get less than 0, and it'll never get higher than 2. And so coming down through here, this is what I want to show you. So if you're wondering what I did there, I just right click on any stock in VectorVest, view full stock analysis report, very useful. And then I scroll down to where it notes the Comfort Index. So the Comfort Index is an indicator which reflects a stock's ability to resist severe and or lengthy price declines. Now in this case, CYL has a CI of 1.77, which is excellent on a scale of 0 to 2. CI is based purely or solely upon a stock's long-term price history. All right, so it's just looking at the trend of that stock. And so let's go and graph the stock. I'm going to put on CI. This is the Comfort Index CI. I'm going to pull it back. And you'll notice here, it's a good time to consider getting into stock when the Comfort Index score breaks above 1. All right, so let's line it up exactly. So here we are, 104. Let's just see where we get it. Yep, there we are. It went from 1 to 101. So that was the exact date, the 9th of July, 2024. The Comfort Index, let's just make it even bigger and easier to see. The Comfort Index score broke above 1 here. Now, what happened to the price? The price in the stock here, it went from $1.14 to over $7.90. All right, so, you look at this and say, well, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Sure, but at that point in time, I don't know about you, but I certainly would have been quite nervous about buying into catalyst metals. The CI score had been below 1 for a long time. The trend had been falling for quite some time. And all of a sudden, up pops the CI score, much like it popped up here. Let's see, this will be interesting to see where it rose prior. So it went, there we are, 105. What was the price? 85 cents. And it moved up all the way up, 85 cents to over $2.80. So pretty impressive, over 300% returns for that last uplift. Here it was very short-lived. It sort of popped up temporarily, so it went from, where was it? Let's have a look here. CI score of 104, and the price was 273, and it hit there a high 319, and then sort of just flat lined a bit there. Okay, so it's not always going to work out as an explosive breakout. Okay, but having said that, we want to keep our eyes peeled for when we get those opportunities, because you never know when the big one's coming. All right, and so this particular one here, this was a massive opportunity, where it exploded up significantly, and you could have made a lot of money. So when I think about this, I say to myself, well, what if I were to get in partway into the trend? Because I don't know what's going to happen. Whether it's going to be short-lived. It might be this, right? It might be it pops above 1, and then it sort of starts breaking down. And so why don't I get in a little bit later in the trend? It pops above 1. I'll give it a couple of days. maybe a couple of weeks, just to make sure that the trend is established. And then I can look to jump in, and here at $2 odd, I'd still be feeling pretty good now that it's almost $8. Okay, so that's my rationale. So what we do here at VectorVest is we give you market timing tools. And so we look at the overall market and we say what the overall market is doing. And so I can overlay the overall market using our most conservative timing signals, confirmed calls. This will tell us when the market's either up or down in up or down trends. And so zooming into the most recent trend over here, I can see here we are. This is where we told our subscribers it was a good time to consider going into the market. Now, notice what happened with CI. The CI score fell away, price fell away, but it never broke below 1. Okay, it never broke below 1. So when you see it like this, as long as it's holding above 1, it's still a good time to consider, entering that stock. Although it was falling away and it continues to sort of dissipate, the trend is still up because CI is above 1. Okay, so what if we were to go and build a search to try identify those opportunities where the comfort index is breaking out in a rising market? All right, so this timing signal that I've put on here, the confirmed calls, this is looking at the overall market. The overall market, we were noting to our subscribers, it's a good time to consider going into the market. So let's go to that date. All right, so we'll go to where VectorVest noted it was a good time to look to go into the market. There we are. We told our subscribers it lit up the 1st of May. There was a good time to consider going into the market. All right, so I've gone back to the 1st of May. I'm just going to show you one stock. I can show you many stocks. I don't want to overlay too much information here. And let's just keep this nice and simple to begin with. I'll just move all this out the way for now, just so we can concentrate just on the CI score. All right, so a very solid CI score of 1.63 on a scale of 0 to 2. So I graph this here. We go back to 1 May. Here we are. Here's that signal, 1 May. Okay, Fleetwood, CI holds above 1. Price goes from $2.87 now to just over $3. All right, not a massive uplift, but nonetheless, the trend is still intact. What if I were to show you, let's say, the top 5? All right, so these are sorted by the best combinations of fundamentals and technicals. The comfort index score is the one I'm wanting to have a look at for now, so don't worry about all these additional ones here. We'll just move this out the way for now. Here is the comfort index score. Very high, they're all well above 1. 1.4 or higher is an excellent score. All right, so we've seen Fleetwood, but it's just loaded up. Here we are. So, with the wisdom of hindsight, CI stays above 1 and the price went up nicely. All right, CI stays above 1. There's the entry signal. Yep, and it goes up. Here, although CI was falling, it still stayed up well above 1. Price goes up. Here you want to be careful. This one really starts falling away. It's almost breaking below 1. So here you'd want to be careful. I think at this point in time here, you would have said, whoa, hang on. This one's not going to work out. And we noted it was a sell rating at that time. So not all these are going to work out perfectly. You need to watch them carefully. Okay. Here we note to our subscribers, good time to get in. $7.73, price now $9.17. CI stays well above 1. Yep. And it's a good time to consider getting in. All right. Now, the next part of the evolution, pardon the pun, evolution mining, but the next part of the evolution of thinking about how this is all going to work here. What if I had the wisdom of hindsight where I could have gone and got in when these broke above 1? Here, evolution mining breaks above 1. Let's have a look. Let's line up. Yeah, perfect. 101, 26th of September. Where was the price? $4.64. Where's the price now? It's doubled in price, $9.17. All right, so it's pretty much doubled in price. Okay. What if I could have got in here? Would this not have been a much better play? I could have got in here, certainly, but there were gyrations in the market. The market had a bit of a down period here and another down period here, and then this was the great run that we've seen since May of 2025. So you can certainly use VectorVest to identify where the turning point is taking place. But remember, per the previous example, would you would you have felt comfortable at that point after what had happened and gone sort of sideways? The last CI breakout was, it was neither here nor there. It fell away again, and then this was the big one, and off it went. And I guess the moral of the story here is, you've got to be in to win as such. You've got to be checking it out, because once you do get the big breakout, away you go. I'm not sure whether I would have necessarily had a lot of confidence at that point there based on what had happened. Certainly by here I would have said, oh, game on, something's going on now. Okay, so it got me thinking. I've used this powerful tool in VectorVest called UniSearch. Now, just before I sort of inundate you with information overload, I'll just close it so you can concentrate, and I'll put the camera on me. UniSearch will help us identify, rank and sort parameters to our liking. And so what I'm going to do here with the UniSearch is I'm going to say to UniSearch, go back a couple of days prior to me running this search, identify where the comfort index was below 1. Then on the most recent day or day before, make sure that the CI has gone above 1, so we're finding that turning point. And then I'll throw in a few extra checks and balances to make sure it all works. Okay, so let's transition the camera back over to me, and let me reveal what have I done. All right, so I'll just go slowly one by one. So first up, 52 weeks ago, the comfort index needs to have been below 1. Why is that? Because I'm looking for a turning point. Okay, so I'm going to start off by saying, look, a year ago it needs to have been below 1, but in recent times it needs to be above 1. Right. Next one, I then said, but yesterday, as of time, whenever you're going to run this, so if you run it as of current day, but the day prior to when I'm running this, the comfort index needs to have gone above 1.1. So when I'm identifying the stocks, the comfort index is well above 1, but a year ago it was below 1. So I'm looking for that turning point. 5 weeks ago, the comfort index needs to have been above 1. All right, so over the last 5 weeks, it needs to be above 1, and in the most recent time period a day ago, it needs to be above 1.1. And then what I then said here is I said, look, make sure that the price is at least $1 or better, and make sure that the comfort index has been trending higher over the last 5 weeks. Sure, we might have the CI being above 1 5 weeks ago, and we might have the CI currently being 1.1. But right now, that trend might be falling away again. So I've put that in just to make sure that that it's trending higher over the last 5 weeks. And then for good measure, I've then sorted the stocks that are moving the quickest, relative timing. It's our short-term price momentum indicator. And so a relative timing score of 1 or better or above 1 is showing momentum. Right, so if I ran this here as of 1 May 2025, and let's say return the top 5, here are the top 5 that are returned, okay, using all of the parameters there. And let's go and show you. So here we go, Fleetwood. So VectorVest will show me. I'm running this as of 2 May, so let's as of 1 May, sorry. So let's just say, why am I running it for 1 May? Remember, I'm looking for the turning point in the market. All right, so at VectorVest, we noted to our subscribers, 1 May, that was the turning point to look to go into the market. So on 1 May, I come to VectorVest, I run the search, and VectorVest comes back to say, well, Russell Fleetwood, as of 2 May 2024, had a CI below 1. That's what you wanted a year ago. Fleetwood, as of the 30th of April, i.e. yesterday, as of time of that search, had a comfort index greater than 1.1. It was actually 1.63. And in addition, going back, where was it, a couple of weeks prior to that, so 5 weeks ago, Fleetwood was 1.48. So look at this and say, oh, well, 5 weeks ago it was 1.48. Yesterday it was 1.63. That's as of time of search, right? Yesterday it was 1.63, and currently it's definitely above 1. All right, so this gives me confidence. This was yesterday's score, this was a year ago, and this was what was it, 6 weeks or 5 weeks ago, I've put it in this case, 5 weeks ago. 5 weeks ago, yesterday, a year ago. So I can see the trend is coming up. You can see it's moving up, it's coming up. It went from there to here to here. All right. So if I were to go and graph these stocks now, here we are, using the comfort index, using our entry signal, confirmed signals, the one we've seen today. And so that's how it played out. VectorVest identified it, up it goes. Here we are. This is a pretty explosive one. 1 May, it identifies, there it is. It identified the movement in CI, and it goes from $1.10 to $1.25. Very nice trend there. All right. Now, it might not, in this particular case here, it doesn't look like, was there a lot of volume taking place? Let's add it in. So again, you can screen it for certain volume criteria. It had a bit of volume, about 500,000 trades taking place today. All right, so just looked thinly traded on the graph, but actually it wasn't too bad. Next one here, wow. Now this one, we hit it out the park. Motorcycle holding, my goodness, look at this. 1 May, we identified those turning points on CI. Here they start picking up. Price is 226. What's the price now? 370. Not bad at all. And this one here, look at that. APZ, my goodness. This one, superb. Turning point, there's the timing. Look at this. Look how beautiful that CI score has turned out. The turning point was here. Let's see if we can line it up here. Good enough. 102, 217. It's around about 217, 425. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. I don't think a lot of investors would have wanted to jump on at that point. Because you'd seen this prior. You'd seen sort of really lackluster performance. It really was flat. It was not to anyone's liking at that point there, and would have been a very brave individual at that point. So, there's the turning point. All right, we give you the tools. We're seeing it mathematically, but whether you as an investor would have had the confidence, I probably would have waited and said, "Oh, that's good enough. Okay, now I can see the turning point. Now I can see the turning point." That to me gives me confidence. If I hadn't had enough confidence at that point, maybe here I would have said, "Wow, more than enough evidence now." I jump, and maybe I only go from 3 to 425, but still, that's still a very good return. Or higher. All right, so there it is. And so that one knocked it out the park. And the fifth one here we are. There's that turning point. Look at the CI. I really like a CI score that's come from below 1 and rising at a rapid rate of knots. That gives me a lot of confidence that the momentum is turning. And so here we go from $4.66 to just over $5. Okay, so VectorVest makes it nice and easy for you. And so then what I'll do here is I can just test it. How did it work out? Let's test the top 5. Not bad at all. 25%. So it identified all these ones here. I like the top 5 because that gives me the real cream of the crop as such. You can drill down 10, 20, 30, Let's see how the top 10 stack up. Let's quick test. Not the top 5. So in this case, we'll change now to the top 10. Here we go. Just out of interest, see how it all stacks up. Here's the top 10. So performance drops off a bit. There's one or two that don't work out, but still, over that time period, very impressive to make 12% from 1 May to 2 September. Still pretty decent returns. And so we looked at the top 5. Let's have a look at the remaining 5, 6 through to 10. Let's have a look. All right, so here we go. Same deal again. Let's put them on. All right, so yeah, we saw the turning point. Who would have thought? There was the turning point. Telstra's had a pretty tumultuous time for quite a while now. And you can see here, we've had CI breakouts and it's gone up a bit, but not much. Pulls back, CI breakout. Doesn't really do much. Whipsaws up and down here. All right, you never know when the big one's coming, and so I just keep my eye on the breakouts. I'll just clean it up here, and I have a look, and I say, okay, well, there was an opportunity. You go from 378, you might get out at $4 and say, it's starting to break down. Okay, I'll just take a bit bit of profit there. Here's the breakout, 417, goes up to 431. But you start to see the price rolling over. You might say that's enough. This one was, you barely would have been able to do anything here. So you would have been waiting for quite some time. And now you see the breakout here. What was telling on the Telstra breakout, it literally went vertical. It went from a very low score of like 0.54, and literally within 2 or 3 days, it doubled to 1.13. And that's quite telling in its own right. And then up it goes. Now, if you want some additional power, put on your earnings profile. So this EPS is a 12-month leading forecast on earnings. Will not agree with your broker, won't agree with Thomson Reuters or Bloomberg or whoever it is or Yahoo Finance. This is a proprietary 12-month leading forecast for earnings. And so the rules is that when earnings rise, share price rises. And you'll see that time and time again. There's no ifs, buts, and maybes. Sure as day, rising earnings, rising share price. And we see it time and time again, not just in Australia, but internationally. And it makes sense. Companies that are growing their earnings, are companies that are growing their share prices, right? Makes sense. Okay, so I'll transition back to the screen here. So when I see that, I see the CI breaking and I see earnings starting to tick up. You see that? Staircase, 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 staircase. It bodes well. Now, let's look at the next one here. All right, so let's have a look. There is our turning point on the confirmed signals. We ran the search, so there was the time to consider the market. Look, big uplift in the earnings. CI holding above 1. Been holding above 1 for quite some time. All right, pull it back a bit. So where was it? CI broke above 1 around about here. All right, and then we get the signal here for 1 May. We're seeing a bit of a staircase, not as attractive as some of the other ones, but nonetheless, we are seeing an uplift in earnings, and so no surprises. All right, same here. Gold Road Resources, earnings going up. Here's your turning point. CI has been going up for quite some time, $3 to $3.39. All right, now, this is a good example because it's not always going to work out perfectly. Here, CI breaks up, it goes up, but it's quite short-lived. No sooner has it come up, it starts falling away. It's now gone below once. You need to be careful now. It's not to say that the stock won't come back again. Certainly will at some point because the earnings are driving up and up and up. It's only a matter of time until you'll see the share price starting to go back up again. You can't have a company where the earnings keep going up and up and up and the share price keeps going down. All right, so this one here, it didn't work out. You would have got in, and no sooner would you have got in, you would have had to sold out based on your stop loss. But nonetheless, the engine is running. This will kick off at some point, and so I'd be watching closely to see when the next CI breakout occurs. All right, and again, here's one. Yes, it meets all the criteria, but I wouldn't have got into this one. Why? Earnings were falling. All right, so this is a technical breakout. Doesn't look like there's a lot of volume. So again, I would have avoided this one because it literally, there were some days where it just does no volume and the earnings are falling away. And so what you can do with VectorVest, when you end up with stocks like that, you can come in here and you can say, well, just to be certain, stocks, price volume, I'll go into the price volume, and I'll say over the last 50 days, average volume must have been, let's say, 30,000 or better. At least 30,000 trades or more a day on average over the last 50 days. And so straight away, I'm now going to rule out any of those stocks where it might not have appropriate liquidity. Let's see, because it's would have altered the results slightly. Let's quick test the top 10. Very impressive, 14% from 1 May to 2 September. Not bad at all. Let's see the top 5. All right, top 5 is typically going to be the more explosive ones because the rule sets being required are top, 1, 2, and 3 are the best, and then it starts sort of dissipating down the list. And so that's why I prefer grabbing, the top 5 typically for these types of searches. All right, very impressive there at 25% returns. Okay, so I didn't show you the top 5 on these with the earnings. Let's just quickly run through those. All right, let's line up the date. There's the entry signal. Yes, look at those earnings. Look at those earnings. Here's a secret. If you can identify companies with rising earnings along with a rising CI, line it up with your market timing, you're away. That's all there is to it. You don't really need to have much more. That will make you some good money, provided you've got appropriate risk and money management rules in place, that you don't just buy, hold and hope. At some point you do need to look to get out, but it'll certainly provide you with the initial blast off phase opportunities. Here the earnings are negative, but they're turning around. Not my cup of tea. I would let that one go. I'm not interested in negative earnings turning around. I want positive earnings. But having said that, a more aggressive investor would look there and say, my goodness, things are turning around. It's just a matter of time until they're in the money with those earnings. And look, early investors are probably looking at this and going, wow, look at this. They're about to turn the corner. All right, I'm more conservative, so I might let that one go. That's more to my taking. All right, so earnings are going up. That's what I want. I want the earnings to be going up. Here, that fell away, price fell away. There's that correlation. Here, the earnings turn around, the price turns around. We line up timing. We line up the comfort index per the search there, and there it is. Earnings going up. So prior to that, I wouldn't have seen any of this. I would have just seen, all I would have seen is this. Okay, so that's all you would have seen. You've seen comfort index breaking above 1. You would have seen the earnings coming up. That's plenty of evidence to me. And away you go. Provided that earnings keep tracking up along with the CI, the comfort index, away you go. All right, next one here. Look at this beautiful staircase pattern developing there. I really like seeing that. It's gone flat and all of a sudden, whoop, a couple of blips, up it goes. Maybe you've waited for the third staircase. You go, my goodness, that's time to consider going in. Look at the comfort index. It's just been absolutely cruising. This one here looks like it's very, very well established with its trend. And so anyhow, following the methodology, $3.12 to over $4.20 now. Yeah, let's look at this one here. All right, so definitely the staircase pattern. This reminds me a bit of Select Harvest Group. The engine's working, the price wasn't, but sure as day, if earnings rise, then you can bet your bottom dollar price is going to come up. All right, so up go the earnings, good. Here's the turning point. The comfort index breaks above 1. We line it up with the overall market timing. Is that a good time to get in? Now, it's not as attractive as some of the previous ones we'd looked at. I like the earnings, but the CI had been a bit lumpy. I might have been a bit tentative on that one. I think I might have waited, a couple of days later just to make certain that, yep, the trend is established and away we go. This is not our strongest one here. Okay, but nonetheless, it still goes up. So there it is. That's how you do it. You don't have to build this search like I've shown you here. This is just a bit of fun to find it. If you don't want to, design, the breakout, we've got all these in here already for you. You can just simply come to VectorVest and say, look, I'll just simply look at the stock viewer every day. So this is the best fundamentals and technicals that money can buy. And so let's do it as of today's day, or close of business yesterday. Okay, so these are our best fundamental and technical companies ranked by our VST score. So it finds value, safety, and timing. And I'll drill down to the top 10. All right, here we go. Here's the top 10 here. Look at the CI scores, very, very high CI scores. And so right now, let's just look how those trends are stacking up. Here's Catalyst Metals. Look at the earnings. Brilliant. CI still holding above 1. So the momentum is still there. Ideally, I want earnings and CI to be moving up in tandem. All right, so if I look here, it's sliding a little bit on the CI. I'll see if I can get one that jumps out. Ooh, this one's interesting. SKS Tech, look at that. CI kicking off again. Earnings staircasing. Looks a pretty good one. All right, so we might be getting close towards the end of this amazing rally that we've had for a while, but it'll load up for the next opportunity again. But here we go. Earnings coming up. CI starting to move back up again. So that jumps out at me, GMD. And this one too, look at that P&R. I like that. Staircasing on the earnings. Look at that CI score. And, when you pull back the CI score with the wisdom of hindsight, you sort of kick yourself for saying, oh, I should have got in there, CI went above 1, but it was sell rated at that stage because it had a difficult time prior to that. And, it hadn't done all that well. And then all of a sudden it changes, things change. And here we go. Earnings was a little bit sort of bumpy, but it's very telling on the CI score there. It breaks above 1. Breaks 1, where was that? The price was about $1.45. Look at the price now, $5. So, I can't help but looking at this historically. I look at a lot of these and go, oh, it was so clear now with the wisdom of hindsight. So there you go. So what I've shared with you today, to our VectorVest subscribers, you might want to build something along those lines for yourself, or just eyeball the stocks and find the turning points on the comfort index. Is it starting to break out? Are earnings moving up? So I think that one there really jumped out. That was for May. What does it do? What's it doing now? It's still jumping out. So are earnings going up? Yes. Is the comfort index in an established trend and moving higher? Yes. Is the price going up? Yes. Well, there you go. There's one right now that jumps out. And so you've got the tools to make smarter, better decisions. So I hope you've enjoyed this Making Money in the Markets with VectorVest session. My name's Russell Markham, Director of Education. It's been a pleasure having you along. Same time, same place next week. We'll catch up. And if you'd like to take out a trial, if you hop along to our webpage, www.vectorvest.com.au, and you can't miss it, there's a link up the top there to take out a trial to VectorVest. We're currently offering it for 99 cents for 30 days, that being US cents, so to call it $1.40 Australian dollars, give or take, for about $1.40 Australian. You can trial it out for 5 weeks. What can you buy for $1.40 odd these days? Not even a cup of coffee. All right, so hope that helps. Look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again, and until next time, bye for now.